I'd like to introduce my co-counsel, Michael Godey, Jessica Marshall. My name is Andrew Gullion.
Great. Is there any other pre-trial matters we need to discuss?
Just my 9 housekeeping matters, if you may.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor. First and foremost, may we assume that the witness has been sworn in?
Yes.
Thank you. And may we have permission to move freely about the courtroom?
You have permission to move about the well, yes.
Thank you. And may we assume voir dire has occurred?
I think we can leave the possibility of voir dire open for specific witnesses.
And may we constructively approach the bench for objections and sidebars that the judges and juries can hear our arguments?
No need to ask for that. We'll assume that, obviously this is a jury case. We'll pretend there's a jury here, but no need to actually approach the bench for that. We'll just assume that the jury can't hear us.
Thank you, Your Honor. And would you like us to state the basis of our objections immediately, or wait till recognized by you, Your Honor?
You can go ahead and state the basis. That's fine.
Okay. And we maybe assume also that the witness had been constructively sequestered.
Yes.
And finally, request that the stipulation be constructively read into the record prior to opening statements.
That's fine.
No further. Thank you, Your
Anything
Honor.
from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a copy of the Midlands Penal Code, special instructions, stipulations, jury instructions, and a notice of intent to offer character evidence. May I approach?
You may. Has the prosecution seen all these?
We saw them in pre-trial, sir.
Great. Thank you.
Devin Skeens for the prosecution, Your Honor. May I proceed?
You may.
May it please the court. Your Honor, opposing counsel, distinguished members of the jury. My name is Devin Skeens, and I am the attorney for the prosecution. I, along with my co-counsel, Taylor Gross, and Justin Jones, have the unique opportunity to represent the state of Midlands today. We are here today for one reason. A murder has occurred. A murder that was facilitated by the choices of the defendant, Ms. Danny Dawson. Now, she had many choices on the night of September 24th, 2010. She had the choice to drink, even though she knew she may end up being the designated driver that night. She chose to drink. Now, she had the choice to consume alcohol again, upwards of 10 times through the course of the evening. And every single time, she chose to consume alcohol again. Now, when the night was all over, she had the choice to take a cab home. It was offered to her. She chose not to. She chose to try to drive her friends home in a torrential downpour with a .19 blood alcohol level. Now, the prosecution has the burden of proof in today's case. We will prove to you beyond the shadow of a doubt that the defendant showed a reckless indifference to the value of human life because of her choices. And we're going to call 3 witnesses to do that for you today. The first one is going to be Ms. Pat Lawrence. Now, Pat Lawrence was a server the night of the accident at Chuggy's Bar and Grill. She can testify to the fact that the defendant bought and paid for upwards of 14 drinks through the course of the evening. Second, we're going to be calling Dr. Avery Smith. Dr. Avery Smith is the director of forensics at the Midlands Department of Forensics, and she can testify to the fact that the defendant, an hour after the crash, blew a .19 blood alcohol concentration. Next, we'll be calling Officer Ryan Foster, a veteran of the Midlands Center Police Department. And he will testify before you today that directly after the crash, the defendant was stumbling. The defendant was slurring her words and speaking deliberately. And then she failed, not 1, not 2, but 3 field sobriety tests. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the old saying goes, you drink, you drive, and you lose. But in this case, Danny Dawson has not lost. Yet. She had many choices on the night of September 24th, 2010. But you have one choice to make today. You have to make that old saying ring true for her. It's already rung true for Vanessa Sullivan. She drank, she drove, Vanessa Sullivan lost. Vanessa Sullivan's family lost. Anyone that Vanessa Sullivan may have encountered in the future has lost. But it's up to you to make sure that Danny Dawson loses. Now my co-counsel, Taylor Gross, is going to come before you at the end of today's trial. And she's going to ask you to find the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree and DUI. Ladies and gentlemen, I see no easier conclusion to come to. It is up to you today to make that choice. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. May it please the court, opposing counsel, members of the jury, on the night of September 24th, 2010, Danny Dawson swerved to save lives. But now, she's being charged with taking one. But this was not a crime. This was an accident. The prosecution has just regaled you with a story, one that does not and cannot be supported by facts or evidence, and one that certainly cannot be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. They will try to portray Ms. Dawson as a falling down drunk while she was at the bar that night, and then when she was driving home, as a maniacal driver barreling down the roadways with reckless abandon. But the evidence does not show any of this. The evidence will show that yes, she did in fact order and pay for a significant number of drinks, but the majority of them actually went to friends. The evidence will show that well before the time that they left the bar that evening, she actually switched from alcohol to soda. 7 sodas to be exact. You will then hear that she was driving in a pouring down rainstorm on winding country roads with numerous distractions coming from within the vehicle, and all on a road that had no guardrails and trees just inches from the shoulder. What happened next was no one's fault. What happened next was an accident. When she was driving home in the torrential downpour, she then spotted a deer in the roadway and swerved to avoid hitting it. And this was the cause of the accident that resulted in Ms. Sullivan's death. The accident turned tragic due to the already unsafe roadway. And now the state is charging Ms. Dawson with murder. In order to convict her of murder, they must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that on that night she acted extremely recklessly with a complete indifference towards the value of human life. But the state will be unable to meet this burden. On behalf of Danielle Dawson, the defense will be calling 3 witnesses in today's trial. First, you will hear from Ashley Norton, an expert in blood alcohol testing and pharmacology. He will testify that multiple mistakes were made when administering the blood breathalyzer test on Ms. Dawson. You will hear that there are numerous factors that can lead to an erroneously heightened blood alcohol concentration reading. But most importantly, listen as he tells you that Ms. Dawson's blood alcohol concentration was much lower than what the state would like you to believe. Next, you will hear from Jordan James, the bartender at the bar Chubby's on the night of this tragic accident. He will testify that Ms. Dawson was a responsible driver and drinker who knew her limits when it came to driving home. You will hear that she actually gave away the majority of the drinks that she purchased that night. And most importantly, listen as he tells you that Ms. Dawson did not appear intoxicated when she left the bar that evening. And finally, you will hear from Leslie Roman, a mechanical engineer and owner of her own accident reconstruction firm. She will testify that Canyon Road was extremely dangerous prior to the accident, that the roadway had no guardrails and trees just inches off of the shoulder. You will hear that based upon her calculations, Ms. Dawson was traveling at speeds much lower than what the state would like you to believe. And most importantly, listen as she tells you that based upon her reconstruction of the accident, Ms. Dawson's operation of the vehicle was consistent with swerving to avoid hitting a deer. Members of the jury, no one is denying that Vanessa Sullivan's death was a tragedy, and nothing will ever be able to fill the void in her family's lives. But at the end of today's proceedings, you will have to you believe that Danny Dawson murdered Vanessa Sullivan. If you fall short of believing that she is a murderer, you must find her not guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.
Time the prosecution moves to call Ms. Pat Lawrence, sir.
Ms. Lawrence?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
Pat Lawrence.
And what is your relation to this case?
I was a server at Chucky's at the night of the crash.
And when did you start serving at Chuck?
Well, I got hired on that Wednesday, and then that Friday was my first shift.
And when did you go into work on that Friday?
Well, I went into work that afternoon to do some training, and my shift started later that night at 7.
And was Danny Dawson there
Yes, she was.
in the afternoon?
Yes.
And what was Miss Dawson doing?
Well, she was talking about how she was in town for a job interview, and she was a bartender.
I see. And who was serving her drinks?
Jordan Daniels, our bartender.
And how many drinks did you?
I saw her go back about 6 drinks.
And what happened next?
Well, after that, about 30 minutes before my shift, she was stumbling towards the table and was throwing a drink on me. So I had to go back to my car and change her clothes.
Now, was that the last you saw of this stumbling Dawson?
No, it was not. Later on, around my shift, I found out that she was going to be in my servant section, which I was not happy about. And she was joined by 2 of her friends, who I now know to be Vanessa and Taylor.
And when they got to the table, did they order anything?
Yes, they did, immediately. Dawson ordered a whiskey and rocks for herself, some shots for the table, and some appetizers.
Was there any particular ordering in regards to alcohol drinks?
Yes, she asked me to tell James to make the drinks on the strong side.
I see. And what was the next drink order?
Well, the next drink order after that was the entire table switched to sweet teas and sodas. And I told the table that the designated driver would get free sodas and sweet teas for the rest of the night. And I asked who the DD was.
And who volunteered?
Dawson. She drunkenly raised her hand. And I laughed because I thought it was a joke. She was obviously too drunk.
I see. And was that the final drink order, the sodas?
No, it was not. Later on that night, Dawson had switched to sodas.
I see. And what was the drink order after that?
Well, after that, some whiskey and ginger ales were sent to the table, about 3 of them, was apparently on the house.
I see. And was that on the house drink order the last for the night?
No, it was not. After that, while Hobson was on stage singing and the chatterbox was playing, Dawson and Vanessa were at the table by themselves, and Dawson insisted that I bring them some mixed drinks, apparently to celebrate Vanessa's birthday. So I brought about 3 screwdrivers for each of them.
I see. And so, was that the final drink order?
No, it's not. After that, Dawson ordered a tequila sunrise.
Was there any remarks made about when ordering the tequila?
Something about never winning the night to end.
And at this point in time, were you still under the impression that Dawson was going to be the designated driver?
Yes, and when she ordered the tequila sunrise, I said I would, just as long as she wasn't going to be driving that night. And she insisted that she wasn't even tipsy, and to bring her the tequila and free soda and sodas for the rest of the night.
I see. And was the tequila sunrise the final drink for Ms. Dawson that night?
No, it was not. I think this is where it kind of comes off. While the lead singer had joined Dawson's table, one of the band members ordered a round of shots at the table, and but Dawson told me that she wanted a shot of water. And this is where I had the drinks mixed up. I poured some grain alcohol of shots, which is very, very strong alcoholic liquor. And I don't think Dawson got her shot of water.
Judging by everybody's reaction, who got the drink?
Well, the reactions were pretty visible, and I'm pretty sure Hobson was the one that got the shot of water.
I see. And what happened after this?
Well, I immediately told Dawson of my mistake, that I had actually poured her grains of alcohol, and she said that it would help her drive better, and she was fine.
I see. And what was the next order of business?
Well, after that, Dawson and her friends were leaving, and Dawson assisted us with the drive.
After the grain alcohol shop?
Yes.
I see. And are you still working at Chucky's, Ms. Lawrence?
No.
I see. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense ready with cross?
Yes.
May I proceed?
May.
Ms. Lawrence,
Yes.
you were previously employed at Chucky's, were you not?
I was.
You started only a night before the incident in today's case.
I started on that Friday.
Right. You were hired a
Wednesday,
night,
two
2 nights
yeah,
before.
2 nights before.
That one night, September 24th, you had the opportunity to interact with your fellow coworkers, correct?
Yes.
But you really weren't familiar with the regular customers at Chucky's, were you?
No, I didn't think so.
From your experience from working at Chucky's, you witnessed that their drinks were made relatively weak.
I heard rumor or something like that. I heard it.
You actually heard your boss say that make the liquor weaker by diluting it with water.
Objection, Your Honor. This is clearly hearsay. This happened out of court, and it's a statement by nobody related to the case at hand.
Do you respond?
This is completely relevant to the case. It is not hearsay because she is a party opponent. Her boss she's with her boss in the normal business interactions. So this is directly under her work experience as a bartender or waiter, for instance.
Any response?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Lawrence is a party opponent. The boss is not.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Move to strike. Thank you, Your Honor.
Stricken.
In your opinion, the strong drinks at Chucky's are relatively normal compared to other bars, correct?
It was my first time at Chubby's,
But in your opinion, the strong drinks at Chucky's were normal drinks compared to other bars. People have told you at Chucky's on that night that Chucky's has the most watered down drinks around.
Dawson said that.
Dawson's. Now you stated on direct that you only worked there one night, September 24th, and it was the first encounter with Miss Dawson.
Yes. That afternoon, yeah.
So you don't actually know Miss Dawson on a personal level.
No.
In fact, not only the first, but it was also the last time you interacted with Miss Dawson.
Yes, because that's one last time.
So you don't know her tolerance, alcohol tolerance? And you don't know how she typically behaves when she consumes alcohol?
I saw how she behaved that night.
But you don't know any previous night, because this was your first time.
No, no previous time.
So in reality, you had nothing to compare with that night in order to know if Miss Dawson was drunk or not.
Well, I've seen drunk people, and they stumble, they slur their words, they act kind of foolish, kind of loud. Typically how drunk persons act, and that's just kind of how she was acting that night.
You said that's typical, but everyone's different. Miss Dawson, you never seen before drunk, so you can't really say if she's drunk or not.
I saw her drunk that night.
Yeah, that one night, but you don't know if she was drunk. You don't know if she was drunk, because you never interacted with her before.
Never interacted with her before.
No. You said Mr. Jordan James served most of the alcohol to Miss Dawson that night, correct? You even said that, or you know that Mr. James possibly could have drank some of the alcohol that he served to the table?
Yeah, it was that afternoon, he could have possibly
possible that every drink that Mr. James brought, Ms. Dawson, he possibly could have drank all of them, correct?
Yeah, James did tell me, we had a little talk, he did talk about how he didn't really drink on the job, but, I mean, that's possible.
And to be clear, you never actually saw Ms. Dawson drink any of the previous drinks before you started waiting for the table.
Yeah, I saw her drink about half dozen drinks when she was at the bar and I was on the train.
So sometime after 7 o'clock, Vanessa Sullivan and Ms. Hobson came to the table with Ms. Dawson, correct?
Yes, yes.
And while at the table, Ms. Dawson purchased a round of whiskey and ginger ales for the table.
A whiskey and around the shots.
Okay. They weren't all four of them, were they?
No, the whiskey was for her, the whiskey and the rocks was for her, and around the shots were for her friends.
So it's clear that throughout the night, she was purchasing alcohol, not for herself, but for 2 other friends, correct?
Correct.
Excuse me. You also noticed that she didn't just purchase alcohol that night. She also purchased food.
Yes, she did. It
And
was some appetizers there.
most importantly, she switched and purchased non-alcoholic beverages too,
Yes.
including some sweet teas and just like soda. There was times when Miss Hobson got on the stage and you kind of lost track of Miss Dawson, correct?
I lost track of her before that. When Ms. Hobson was on stage, Vanessa and Dawson were at the table, and that's when I brought over the mixed drinks, the screwdrivers.
But throughout the night, you lost track of Miss Dawson for a lot in your own words.
Yeah.
And with that time, you obviously didn't serve her any alcohol because you didn't see her.
No, when I did see her.
And you can't tell the court that you saw or actually witnessed her drinking alcohol during that time. That you didn't see her.
If I didn't see her drinking alcohol, then no, I can't say that I saw her.
Now, Miss Dawson was being a good friend. She went to the bar, to get Vanessa and Miss Hobson time to catch up. So upon returning from the bar, I believe it was you followed her with a round of whiskey and ginger ales for the table.
Yes, yes.
She didn't order these drinks, though, did she?
Apparently they were on the house.
And you claim to only have seen her drink one of them,
Yes,
and the other 2 glasses became empty, right?
yes.
But you don't know who drank them.
No, I didn't see Vanessa or Taylor drink theirs. I just saw Dawson drink one shot of hers and sipping on the other 2.
But you can't say for sure that they did not drink them.
I cannot say that.
So as the night progressed, you did witness Miss Dawson drink a tequila sunrise,
Yes,
but after that she didn't drink any other alcohol.
she did. The accidental grains of alcohol I gave her.
It was accidental because she actually ordered water.
Yes.
Before the 3 left the bar that night, you noted that Miss Dawson, in your own words, was kind of with it.
Kind of with it, not really stable enough to be driving.
But kind of with it would be safe to assume that she was coming through and she could possibly be able to drive.
I mean, I would hope not after she's been drinking, but
In your opinion, right before they left that bar, Miss Dawson, from your own observation, was not acting like a total fool anymore.
anymore.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Can you read it? Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you.
Step down.
Could you please state your name and occupation for the court?
My name is Dr. A.G. Smith. I am the Midlands Director of the Forensics Department as well as a graphic design specialist.
And could you give us a brief synopsis of your educational background, please?
Master's of Science degree in biochemistry from Gonzaga University, as well as a Master's of Science degree in public administrations from Seattle University. And I have both a doctoral degree and a Master's of Public Health in biostatistics from the University of Washington.
Very impressive. Do you have any articles or publications?
I have 6 articles that have been published. All of them are alcohol related. One in particular that I wrote with a colleague of mine was called Mouth Alcohol, The Secret of Time. It was written in the Journal of Ethanol Testing in 2007.
And could you give us a brief synopsis of your job history?
From 1990 to 1995, I was the director for the toxicology department within the Midlands Department of Forensics. And since 2001, I served as a chairman for the Board of Alcohol and Drug Influences. And since 2005, I was also the board's state director.
And have you looked over any evidence in this case?
Yes, I have.
And is that evidence that is usually relied upon by experts in your field?
Yes, it is.
Okay, did you come to any conclusions in this case?
Yes, I did.
And are those conclusions within a reasonable degree of medical and scientific certainty?
Yes, they are.
All right. This time, Your Honor, I'd like to move Dr. Avery Smith as an expert in front of this court. Any objection?
No, we do not have any objections, Your Honor.
Now, Dr. Smith, are you aware of the defendant, Ms. Danny Dawson?
Yes, I am.
And if you had to point her out, could you?
Yes, sitting right over there.
All right, thank you. Now, how are you familiar with Ms. Danny Dawson?
I met Ms. Dawson on September the 25th of 2010, the morning that I administered a test on the machine known as the Intoxilizer 8000.
Okay, and why was she brought in to have a breath alcohol test?
The arresting officer, Foster, had told me that they were going to be bringing someone in that morning for failing 3 field tests that were given per within state law.
Okay, and so he brought her to your office after she failed this test? Okay. Now, does your office keep records of those tests that are administered?
Absolutely.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like the record to reflect that I am showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked. My apologies, Your Honor. As Prosecution Exhibit 5. Now, this is the Midland Center Department of Corrections breath test operator's report. I have a courtesy copy for Your Honor. May I approach?
You may.
Thank you. And may I approach the witness as well?
May.
Dr. Smith, do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize this document as?
This is the breath test operator's report.
Okay, does it look like a fair and accurate copy of that report?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time I'd like to move this document in as Prosecution Exhibit 5. Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, if you could for me, Dr. Smith, turn to the second page. This is where I'd like to direct your attention. If you could read for me your handwritten remarks on the middle of, about halfway down the page, under where it says remarks on speech, walk, and observations of subject.
I commented that consistent with moderate to heavy drinking, stumbling slightly when attempting to walk, and
Objection, Your Honor. This is cumulative evidence. We've already established this document into evidence. There's no reason for us to continue reading off the document.
Your Honor, I'm simply asking the witness to read off of the document that was entered into evidence. She wrote the document that was entered into evidence and therefore can test on the stand as to its validity.
I understand the objection, but we'll allow it for foundational purposes.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Dr. Smith, I'm very sorry for that interruption. If you could again read for me your handwritten remarks around the bottom or on the middle section of the page there.
Consisted with moderate to heavy drinking, stumbled slightly when attempting to walk, and spoke extremely deliberate.
Okay, thank you. And that you wrote that about Ms. Danny Dawson.
That is correct.
Okay. Now, if you could also go to the bottom of that page and read everything for me on the second black bar.
I hereby confirm that this was accurately completed by Danny Dawson's signature.
It's signed by Danny Dawson.
Yes, it is.
And did you witness Danny Dawson sign this document?
Yes, I was the witness.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Your Honor, may I approach the witness and receive my copy? Thank you. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like the record to reflect that I am showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as prosecution exhibit 4. Now, this is the Midlands Police Department Forensics Section and Toxilizer 8000 Operator's Checklist. I have a courtesy copy for Your Honor. May I approach?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I approach the witness as well?
Yes.
Now, Dr. Smith, do you recognize this document?
I sure do. This is the Toxilizer 8000 operator's checklist.
And does this look like a fair and accurate copy of that document?
And yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move this document in as prosecution exhibit 4.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Submitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you could for me, please, direct your attention to the top of the page where it says operational checklist, and then it has pre-test observational period listed as one of the things to check off. If you could for me, read that entire section.
The operator is certain that the subject has not ingested any substance by mouth, eating, drinking, or smoking, etc., vomited or regurgitated liquid from the stomach to the mouth for at least 15 minutes before the testing commences.
And did you test that? Did you check that, confirming that that was true?
Yes, I did.
So you were certain that Danny Dawson had not vomited, regurgitated liquid from the stomach to the mouth for at least 15 minutes prior to the examination?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And did you yourself personally observe Ms. Danny Dawson?
No, I personally did not have the time available to do that. Officer Foster, the arresting officer, did, however, observe Dawson for a 20-minute car ride into the station.
And he was certain that she had not vomited, regurgitated liquid, or et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely, he knows what to look for.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. She's, they're offering this for the truth of the matter asserted, and this was made by Officer Foster, who clearly is not Avery Smith.
Yes, but the witness is a member of the Midlands Forensics Department, and Officer Foster is also a member of the Midlands Police Department, and therefore she can attain to whether or not he was validly able to make this assertion.
Is Officer Foster available to testify today?
He will be testifying today, yes, sir.
Okay, for now then I'll allow it, but feel free during that cross to explore this issue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sorry once again. So you were certain, just to make sure, you were certain that the test wasn't tainted for 15 minutes prior to?
Absolutely. I observed Dawson 5 minutes prior to the test myself, before giving the test. And there was no signs of any regurgitation or belching, or neither did she have access to any kind of alcohol or mints. And I got that information from Officer Foster as well as checking for myself.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. May I approach the witness?
May.
Now, at this time, I'd like the record to reflect that I am showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as prosecution exhibit. Once again, my apologies. There we go. Prosecution exhibit 6. Now, this is the Midlands Police Department, Department of Forensics breath test report. I have courtesy copy for Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
And the witness as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Smith, do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is my report from that evening.
Okay. And if you could for me, please, direct your attention to around the middle of the page where it says test result. If you could read off that number for me, please.
The test results that evening were 0.19.
And that was Danny Dawson's blood alcohol level that night.
That is correct.
And you're certain that that is an accurate reading?
Absolutely, for many reasons. One of which there's a special mouthpiece on the machine that keeps any foreign debris such as vomit or saliva or any other debris from getting into the machine and causing a spike. And if there was a spike, the machine would have definitely picked up on it.
Okay, now, do you only take one breath test from the person who's being tested?
No, absolutely, we do not. We have 2. And prior to the second one, there is also a 2-minute observational period, which I observed Danny during that time to make sure that there was no belching or regurgitation that would have caused a spike.
But what if the machine wasn't calibrated correctly?
I calibrated the machine that night prior to Officer Foster bringing Danny in for the test, so I do know that it was accurately running and effectively that night.
Your Honor, may I approach to receive my copy?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Smith, in your professional, expert, medical opinion, was this test accurate?
Absolutely.
In your professional, medical, expert opinion, was this test in any way tampered with or tainted?
No, if it would have been, I would have seen a spike in the reading that it would have put out, and then initially followed by a major decrease, which would have let me know that there was some kind of interference.
So in your expert professional medical opinion, Danny Dawson's blood alcohol level was 0.19.
That is correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Thank you.
As you performed on Ms. Dawson. You were in the lab to take that call, were you not?
Yes, I was.
And that call came in after approximately 1 a.m.
That is correct.
And, excuse me. And when she came in, you were the one who was in charge of conducting the breathalyzer test, correct?
I did administer the test that evening, yes.
And now you yourself are actually published in the field of administering this test.
That is correct.
And you and your department actually train others how to properly administer this test and how to properly fill out the form that goes along with it.
That is correct.
And this form is the standard set of operating procedures.
That is correct.
At this time, Your Honor, I would like to retrieve what prosecution is now marked as Exhibit 4. Thank you, Your Honor. May I please approach the witness?
Okay.
And you recognize this document, correct?
That is correct.
And now, the standard operating procedures require that you observe the subject being tested for approximately 15 minutes, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Opposing counsel is misstating the facts.
Response?
It is a 15-minute pre-observational period, that's all I have said. I'm not aware of what misrepresentation of the facts that there is there.
I think we'll overrule and let the witness answer and clarify if there's any misrepresentation. Thank
No
you.
problem, Your Honor. Thank you.
It is required that the subject be monitored 15 minutes prior to a test. That is correct.
But you yourself only monitored the witness, or you yourself only monitored Danny Dawson for 5 minutes, correct?
That is correct.
I would like you to refer to your form and read the time that you documented the pre-test trial period began.
The start of the pre-observation time, is that what you're referring
Yes.
to? It started at 1:30 a.m.
And what time did you document it ending?
It ended at 1:45 a.m.
So we're implying that you then lied when you wrote down those times on the form, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. This is argumentative.
The witness has already stated that she only observed Danny Dawson for 5 minutes. I merely asked her to write down, or to read off the times, which then means a 15-minute period. 5 minutes is not equivalent to 15 minutes. So we're merely trying to establish that the times she wrote down are incorrect and that she herself must have lied when she wrote them down.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Please.
In violation of, in violation of Rule 611A, the question asked my witness if she was lying on the stand, it's very argumentative and at the same time improper impeachment.
Okay, I agree. Sustained.
Move to strike, Your Honor.
Stern.
Thank you.
The time period documented on the form is a period of 15 minutes, correct?
That is correct.
And again, you yourself only observed Ms. Dawson for 5 minutes.
Objection, Your Honor. These questions have been asked and answered.
Agreed. Sustained.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, I'd like to talk to you about the Intoxizer 8000. The reason for the pre-observational period is to make sure that there are no excess substances in the subject's mouth, correct?
That is correct.
And substances such as excess saliva and vomit can actually lead to a spike in the blood alcohol concentration.
It can, but that's why there's a specific mouthpiece that helps guard that.
But you yourself never checked Ms. Dawson's mouth, did you?
I checked her 5 minutes prior to the observation of giving the test.
The Intoxizer 8000, what reading did you say that the Ms. Dawson had?
The first reading was 0.19, and the second one was 0.194.
Now, can you please tell the court what levels the Intoxizer 8000 has been tested at for accuracy?
I'm sorry.
Objection, Your Honor. This question is vague and ambiguous under Rule 611A.
There is a document in the case that lists all of the levels that the Intoxizer 8000 has been tested at. As one who is certified and trained into using the Intoxizer 8000, and since she herself during the direct had stated that she had actually calibrated the machine it's very reasonable and relevant to ask what levels that she did calibrate the machine at.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Please.
I believe the question was extremely vague, and I'm not sure that the jury could possibly understand what she was referring to. The witness may know, but I'm not really sure. I quite understand the question.
I'm going to overrule, but if the witness needs clarification, she can ask for it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Can you please tell the court what levels in Toxizer 8000 has been tested for accuracy at?
Are you asking for a calibration?
No, I'm asking for the levels of blood, that it comes out as. It has been tested in a number of, levels. Could you please tell us what those are?
Objection, Your Honor. I renew my last objection to this question being extremely confusing. My witness obviously has no idea what she's referring to.
We just overrule again.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, I will say that the Toxizer 8000 has been tested at 0.00, 0.02, 0.04, and 0.08.
Objection, Your
and
Honor.
0.16.
Counsel is testifying in front of the court.
Response?
I don't believe I'm testing. If I was allowed to finish, I was naming off the levels that it has been tested for accuracy at, and provided after that, I was going to ask her if I had done so correctly.
I think that's a fair approach. We'll allow it.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Are those levels that I just read off correct?
That is correct.
And to be clear, the machine has never been tested at any other levels for accuracy.
Not that I'm aware of.
So to be clear then, it would not have been tested at 0.19 for accuracy.
It is calibrated at 0.08, which is the state limit for.
But it was not calibrated at 0.19, correct?
It would have no reason to be calibrated at 0.19.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
I have no redirect at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Doctor. And that's back.
At this time, the prosecution calls Officer Ryan Foster to the stand. Taylor Gross for the prosecution, may I proceed?
You may.
Will you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Ryan Foster, patrol officer from Midland Center Police Department.
And what do you do for a living?
I am a patrol officer as well as member of Midland's Fatal Crash Team.
Now, what qualifies you to do this job?
I have a bachelor's of science in civil engineering from the Georgia Institute of Technology, as well as a certification in professional engineering I received in 1999. I've also gone through a 22-week course at Burlington Midland State Police Academy, where I learned everything about policing. And then I have also sat on the City Council's Transportation Safety Board.
Now, you just mentioned that you were part of the Fatal Crash Team. What exactly is that?
Yes, it's a team that investigates car accidents with an emphasis on accident reconstruction.
And what methods do you use when doing an accident reconstruction?
There are several things that we do. Most